Hi everyone, welcome to our autumn social media network meeting. I am recording this retrospectively. As I mentioned, the meeting was supposed to be recorded, but after setting up the recording device, I just completely forgot to press record. So hopefully this is a good alternative to those who couldn't make it yesterday. So I'll quickly just introduce myself. I'm Nadine. I'm from CUH Digital Communications. So my usual role is Digital Communications Officer, but while Abby is in her own secondment for 3 days a week, I am stepping into her role until March for 3 days a week on my own secondment. Okay, so here's what we covered in the meeting yesterday. So we went through the corporate identity very briefly, so we just did a quick refresh. And then went through some graphics and visuals examples. Then we had a look at your own social media identity for our different departmental accounts. Then discussed the social network Teams channel, did some quick reminders on checks and balances when posting, and there was a quick annual awards reminder at the end and questions and feedback. So the first thing we're going to look at is our corporate identity refresh. So all this information is available in our CUH corporate identity guidelines, and also our social media toolkit touches on this as well. So do make the most of those. So the first point we'll look at is colour. So you can see at the bottom there are some of the examples of the corporate approved colours for CUH. So always best to check colour contrasts when you've got some text on a background, and there's a really useful website called WebAIM, which is a tool where you can check your colour contrasts and make sure they're in line with accessibility laws. We want all our content to be easily available to everyone regardless of disability or difficulties with sight or anything like that, so we want our content to be really easy to read. Again, following on from that, we also want it to be in a really easy to read font. So the core font that we use at CUH is Frutiger, and then our secondary font is Arial. So again, making all our content really easy to read when we're using graphics and text on images. And then moving on to our logo, so we really want our logo to always be clear and legible on a core colour background, and using the digital badge when necessary, for example, when content is mostly going to be used on smaller screens, such as social media. So we want people to be able to identify the trusted information that we are offering, and if a logo looks off, pixelated, oddly coloured, people are going to question how legitimate that information is. Is that really coming from the right place? Is it coming from CUH? Last point is images. And with our images, we always want to aim to bring human connection, emotion, and reflect diversity and show real people, real staff from the NHS, but also to bear in mind that we always want to consent those being photographed. So on to our next slide, I've put together some examples of brands and organisations, specifically on Instagram, that I think use their corporate identity really well. While I'm specifically looking at Instagram, the points can also be applied to other social media platforms as well. So I know that a lot of us use Facebook and Twitter /X. These points I'm about to go through can also relate to those platforms too. So the first example I've chosen is Dove. So I really like Dove's Instagram visuals. So they've chosen really soft colours, they're very image focused, and their graphics are subtle and light. And I think that really reflects their identity. They're a skincare brand, they're trying to show softness and give that idea of being gentle, and I think their imagery really reflects that. And I just wanted to point out their highlights at the top there, their little graphics, again really muted colours, which gives that kind of soft, gentle impression as well. So my next example has a much more direct link to our own social media profiles. It's another NHS account, so it's the Give Blood NHS Instagram. And as you can see, they use that consistent shade of red. That's the shade of their logo, and they have that all the way through their page. You can see splashes of it all over their Instagram, including their highlights, similar to our last example with Dove. They've got these really simple graphics, and then the consistency of the red there as well. Their images really represent real people and the NHS. You can see real people giving blood, their own journeys, real patients, and their whole profile is really people focused and engaging. And people who give blood, like myself, can see themselves in that content, which is really important. And finally, one of my personal favourites is the Duolingo Instagram account. The use of their popular mascot / logo, they use this really consistently. They use that colour, that green, throughout their profile because it's really recognisable. I'd say probably over 95% of people on social media will see that that mascot, that owl, and know who that is. And whilst CUH don't have a mascot per se, we have our logo and we have our colours. And in comparison, Duolingo are using their mascot and their logo in a similar way to be recognisable and to have a really strong sense of corporate identity there. So to kind of sum that up in a few bullet points, each of these Instagram accounts define their identity. They're visually pleasing, they're not busy, overcrowded or too wordy. They use specific colour palettes and tones of colours, and they stay consistent. And again, that can be applied to other social media platforms and accounts, not just Instagram. So after looking at some other organisations and businesses, we had a group discussion about our own social media identity and the identity of different departmental accounts within the trust. So I asked everyone to get into groups or pairs, preferably someone from a different department, so that everyone could get a different perspective from different social accounts. And we had a lot to discuss on this topic, so I'll try and keep it short and run you through some of the main things that we discussed. So it's great to hear that there was a lot of fans of Canva, being a fan of Canva myself. It was really great to hear that you found Canva a really important tool for being able to build your department's social media identity through colours and visuals. And Abby raised that she is working her magic to really try and push getting Canva Pro across the trust so that you guys can use it as well. While the free version of Canva is still really, really great, it allows you to build up brand kits and brand templates, which really helps with corporate identity as well as your own colour schemes and identity too. And I saw some really nice consistent colour schemes while I was going around the room. One particular one that stood out to me was CUH Careers. They have this really nice consistent colour. They have kind of like a turquoise colour for their badge, and then they use that colour really consistently throughout their content, and they're also really consistent with the graphics that they use, as they're all in the same style, and they find those on Canva. So again, a really, really good tool to use. And another one that just really stood out, again, for very similar reasons, was the Rosie's Instagram account. Again, really consistent colours. They have this really nice theme at the moment where they do a graphic, then a real image, then a graphic, then a real image. And if you do go onto their Instagram and have a look, then you'll see how visually pleasing it is just to look at, and I can see that they've got their highlights looking really consistent and well presented as well. So those are just a couple of examples that really stood out to me whilst we were having this chat. And again, anyone who missed the meeting in person, do go and have a look at some of the CUH accounts. and this might help you to get a sense of how you can use the corporate identity to make your own identity through your social accounts. So yeah, go and have a look. So moving on, next we had a chat about our social network Teams channel, which we've had for a little while now, but we haven't really found a way to get the ball rolling on having more conversations within the channel and getting people to participate and join. So on the right there's a QR code. So please just get out your phone, go to the camera and point the camera at the QR code, and it should come up with a link, and then click on the link to join. We did notice there might be a bit of an issue if you don't have the Teams app on your phone, so not to worry, I will be sending the link out when these slides go out as well, so you can just click the link on your computer as well. But we wanted to discuss how we can support each other on our Teams channel, and I really wanted to get some feedback on what we can do to support you and what would be really helpful and valuable to include on our channel. So there's the QR code again, so don't worry if you missed it on the last slide, and as I said, I'll send out a link as well. So I thought it'd be really good to use the Teams channel and the chat to check on particular posts that maybe people are unsure of or need a second opinion or some advice, and to also be a base for our social media templates, which we're hoping to add to and create more of very soon, and add our guidelines and toolkits as well, so that everything is in one place and you don't have to go through the Trust network to access these files. And then during the meeting, we did kind of a brainstorm on what other uses our Teams channel can have. So I've put them up on the screen. So as you may know, we do have a folder with stock photos that are all free to use across your socials. But we would really like to add to these, and obviously as we get more and more social account requests coming through and more accounts being made, it'd be really good to pinpoint where these can be found more easily. So including that on our Teams channel would be really good, and also making sure there are plenty of images for you guys to use. So we can even use the Teams channel to request certain images that you would like. For example, just general photos from around the hospital was also mentioned, being able to find logos, particularly logos with transparent backgrounds. It'd be really great to have a folder. The Rosie team have this folder ready for them to use, so having one that we can all access on our Teams channel would be really good, and yeah, making our logo a lot easier to access. And then using the chat and the channel to get advice on maybe some comments that you've had on social media, a comment that might have come through that you're not sure how to respond to. Just to note on this one, just to be careful not to share private direct messages, as these messages are for your eyes only. But if you were to be looking for some advice, you can always give us kind of a gist of what the query is about, and as a network we can all try and help with how to respond to that. And then lastly, Abby, who usually chairs these meetings, brought up that the Teams channel would be a really good, easier way to notify about key events. And an example she gave was the mourning period for Queen Elizabeth. So back when this happened a couple of years ago, Abby had to email around the teams that had social accounts just to inform them that we were taking a break from posting on socials for this mourning period, and having a Teams channel where everyone's kind of in the same chat. So this will be a really good tool to easily get those messages across to everyone. So just lastly on this slide, for those of you who didn't make the social media network meeting last week, please feel free to email over any ideas or suggestions on how we can best support you, and what you think the best use of our channel would be. So feel free to send them over to me. And of course, remember to scan the QR code or click the link that I'll provide to join the the network as well. The next thing I just wanted to run through were some quick but important reminders on checks and balances while posting. So the first point I wanted to raise was photos and video thumbnails. So video thumbnails can be edited retrospectively once published, apart from on Twitter /X. Not a lot can be edited once posted on there, so if there was a problem with a thumbnail, it would just be a case of deleting and reposting, hopefully as quickly as possible. So I always think it's good practice just to look over it straight after posting, just to see how it looks to other people. Katie didn't mind me sharing with the group a little slip up, let's say, that we had recently that brought this to our attention. Josh from our digital team did a wonderful post, as he always does. Every other week he does a thank you Thursday, which he works with ACT to share. And he goes out and gets a lovely photo or video to share the member of staff that has been thanked. And then he brings together a lovely graphic to showcase that. And this particular one said, Ian is an asset to Adam Brooks. But Facebook had given us an automatic thumbnail for the video. And the writing gradually came onto screen, and the thumbnail had stopped at Ian is an ass. So it was a very unfortunate thumbnail, and Sarah from our team picked up on it very quickly, and we were able to quickly edit that. And while it makes for a bit of a humorous story, we try to avoid anything like that, of course. So just a reminder to check your thumbnails, check how your posts look after publishing them, and just make sure they're presented nicely. And then the second point, we just wanted to touch on data security. So again, just going over the posts, just to double check that any patient identifiable data is not on display. We spoke about how this can so easily be missed when we're using images or videos of staff using systems like Epic, MyChart. I did some filming on the new vCreate, where a staff member was using that, and we were filming the screen. And it's just about knowing who to go to check that there's no patient identifiable information on the screen at the time. Obviously, all our accounts are public, so they can be accessed by almost anyone in the world. So it's always really important just to check that there isn't any private information on what we're sharing. And lastly, just the small details, typos, grammar, etc. Hopefully the Teams channel will come in handy for that, but also just to, if someone's available to check over your work, to check the text that you're putting up, just to check for any typos or grammar mistakes. Again, we had a bit of a funny example of this not too long ago, where the actor Hugh Bonneville had shared some of our content about Cambridge Cancer Research Hospital, and we had shared it and just put a quick note on our share that said thank you, hi Bonneville, instead of Hugh. So again, it's just having that second pair of eyes just to point out little mistakes. Not the end of the world if a typo goes out, obviously. These things happen, but it's just good practice to get someone else to check before you press publish. And quickly, I just wanted to thank everyone who left feedback after the meeting. That was really kind of you to take the time just to write on the flashcards I gave you, and we got some really nice feedback, and also got plenty of things to think about for the next meeting next year. So if you didn't make it to the meeting in person, then please feel free to email me your feedback or anything you would like to see for the next meetings, so I can add it to our little mind map of feedback, and I can incorporate your suggestions into our next meeting as well. And just lastly, my contact details are there, as well as a link to the social media toolkit and corporate identity guidelines. and also some reminders of where to find royalty-free images there as well. Please do get in touch if you have any questions or want to share your thoughts. Yeah, thank you so much for listening.